Hello, welcome to LLG's Random But Real podcast, where you'll hear conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I'm singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music to your ears. Welcome to LLG. That's me, Lisa L. Gilliam's Random But Real podcast. Hello, and welcome to this edition of LLG Random But Real. Um, I am excited to have my friend Carletta Wayman on the show with me today. Say hello, Carletta.
Hey everybody.
So, Carletta and I go way back, enough. Um, I let me just say this first of all. Anything that we say on this show is or our own opinions. If you do feel like you need to seek professional help, please do so. If you want a reference or something like that, you can always reach out to me. Social media, one singing lady, the number one that is, and or send a message, even on Anchor or Spotify, through my channel, and I would definitely refer you. But I just want to make sure that you all are aware of that. These are our opinions. And so, although we do often speak about mental health on my podcast, I am not operating in the aspect of a therapist or anything else, although I am still a mental health advocate, but I'm also still learning too. So, let's get that out the way where I needed to get it out the way because y'all know me, I will forget, but that is always the case on this show. So, anyway, Carletta and I met years ago because she also sings and through a former group that she was in. um, Keeping it light. I'm keeping it light, Carletta. And I don't know. I mean, we were cool, for years, but maybe probably what, maybe 3 years now? Has it been 3 or 4? We reconnected and have kind of been like, I don't know, hanging out. And then the next thing we know, like I invited her to come to karaoke, and then that was it. She was just
Right.
into karaoke as much as I was. So
This is true.
it became another way of life. People don't understand it. When I talk about it, it's just like it's your own little family. You agree?
Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, karaoke is it's a way of life.
So it's a great way to put your hair down, let your hair down. I don't have any, I cut mine all off. However, it's a nice place to relax and chill and have fun. And we met some really nice people as well through, us going out to karaoke, and we go all over the place in the
Yes, we
DMV.
do. All over the place.
She likes to drive too, so sometimes she'll actually come pick me up, and which I love because I don't like to drive. Thankful to be able to drive. But so this show again is called Random But Real, or LLG Random But Real. LLG standing for my name initials. And one of the things, or one of the reasons I wanted to actually bring Carletta on the show or talk to her on the show is because she has endured a lot of different things, but just as upbeat as she was a few minutes ago, that's pretty much how she is. It doesn't mean she doesn't have emotions or feelings, or that things don't happen, or you know anything like that. It's not that at all. But she does still have those moments where um things have kind of taken place. And so, are you still there, Carla?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, because my screen just actually blanked out, y'all. I'm sorry. So, just want to make sure because I don't want to hit the wrong buttons. Um, so with that being said, see, random but real. We you never know. You never know what might come out in the process. So I have seen her just exhibit so much strength and so much like passion and energy. She's one of the kindest people that I've met.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
super, super kind. You're welcome. It's true though. I'm not making it up. She really is that. experience, and I'm gonna let you share what you would like to share in your own words, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Where do I even start? Um, as Lisa said, yeah, I've had some pretty serious health challenges. Probably over the last 10 years or so. And at one point, it just seemed to just starting piling on. Like you fix one thing, something else goes wrong. And long story short, I remember, I think the worst of it, I had something called gastroparesis, which is a type of neuropathy that affects your ability to digest food. And so it paralyzes the nerves in your stomach, which pushes food into your intestines. And hopefully, this isn't too gross or
No,
graphic for people, but most people think, oh, food just stays in your stomach. It really doesn't. And your stomach doesn't like that when food stays there. And so it either moves out into the intestines or it comes back up. And
mm,
so for 2 years, I couldn't eat anything without getting sick, like water, ice cubes, you name it. I would start vomiting and I couldn't stop. And once I started vomiting, I get the dry heaving, and so I ended up at the hospital. My blood pressure was sky high. And after dealing with this for 2 years, it caused my kidneys to fail. So 2 years after 2 years after I got diagnosed, was treated, had surgery, I ended up on dialysis. And so I was on dialysis for a little less than a year, and I was matched with a young man, God bless his heart, that his family decided to donate his organs. He was just 20 years old. Um,
mm,
they don't give you any details. All I know is he was from Arizona. And so I got a kidney and a pancreas from him, but the pancreas didn't take. So after surgery that morning, I had to go back into surgery that night, get reopened, and they took that out. And so from there, I'm like, okay, I have new kidney. We're doing great. And then I started getting infections like back to back to back to back. So I ended up having four more surgeries on my stomach because everywhere around the staples were all infected. Numerous hospitalizations. But the thing is that God is so good. So when you look at situations and you're like, how could you say God is good when these things are happening to you? But God, in His mercy, will show you someone who's doing so much worse. Or,
right.
you'll see people who are totally bedridden. Granted, I couldn't walk fast, I couldn't walk far, but I could walk. I still had legs to walk on.
Mm-hmm.
Or people who have feeding tubes, and I didn't have that stuff. And so every time I go through some sort of challenge, I know I'm not exempt. I'm not saying my walk of Christ has just been so grand that nothing should ever happen to me. And I'm not saying that, that that's what other people think either. But even in the midst of us being sick, there's always, you could be sicker. It could be worse off than what it is. And so I try not to focus on what happened and why me, but more God get me through it
Mm,
and give me the strength to endure it, and not be someone that just complains that all of these things has happened. Because through all of these things, I actually coded twice, and God brought me through both times. And I had a procedure done in the hospital and woke up covered in blood from like the waist down. Had lost several pints of blood and didn't know it. I could have bled out right across the hall from the nurse's station. And
mm,
yet still God saw fit to spare my life. And when you look at situations like that and it's nothing but God,
right.
you know, I, I can't help but feel privileged that I'm still here. That God saw in his mercy to show me favor, and I'm still here. because there are people who've gone through less and they're not here,
Very true.
you
Very,
know?
very, very
And
true.
so it's amazing when people say, "Oh, but you know, you just have such a positive spin." But, you know, it's like, but honestly, I don't see it that way. I really don't. And so I thank God that people see what they see and that, you know, this is the light that God allowed me to shine because, you know, I'm not saying that going through it's hard. Sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's lonely, you know, but it's one of those things. It's like I kind of liken it to a dessert shop, ice cream shop. You go visit every now and again, you know, and that's what those low moments, but you don't make it a point where you just move in and that's your whole diet. You know what I mean?
At least you shouldn't, right? you, you
Right. Well,
shouldn't
you
have
try
those
not
ice
to.
cream lovers out out there.
But
That's
I
true.
mean, you know, so the thing is that you're gonna have moments. You're not gonna always be happy. You're not gonna always be positive. You know, there are moments that I'm just like, Lord, I'm tired. I'm tired of hurting. I'm tired of being in the hospital. I'm tired of this. But then God will bring back to me, you know, some scripture, some song. Somebody will come in with a word of encouragement, you know, and then if not that, you'll see somebody that you're just like, not you want to say, oh my God, thank God that's not me, but it makes me grateful. You know,
Right.
this last bout that I was in the hospital, I ended up in rehab, and the young man in the room beside me is just like 21 years old. He's in this full wheelchair kind of thing, contraption that he has the use of one arm and his mouth. And so he had dropped a spoon and thought he could reach it and got kind of off balance. And I heard him yelling for somebody to come. So he, you know, heard footsteps and he's like, somebody, please help me. I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling.
Mm,
And the people who came past just, you know, having, they were like, oh my God, hit the bell, you know, something. And she was like, he's too heavy. You know, she's like, I'm trying to pick him up, but I can't. And when I saw him outside, I was like, oh my gosh, like he's paralyzed from
mm.
the shoulders, from the neck down, except for this one arm and his
Wow.
mouth. So he couldn't pull himself back up. And he was literally just hanging.
Mm.
So it's like,
I mean,
wow. So how could I complain after seeing that? And I'm on a walker, you know? So it kind of puts it
mm,
in, at least for me, it put it in perspective. Like, you can't complain about being in a walker, being on a walker, having to use a walker. And, you know, this guy literally almost hurt himself and caused himself pain trying to pick up a spoon.
absolutely. Look, that's a lot, Carla. You shared a lot. We need to like kind of unpack this for the listeners. Um, it's I told y'all she's like always like, it's almost like la la la, like she's in the clouds, happy go lucky, even though I know there are times that she's not that way. But yes, perspective is everything. And even from, a mental health standpoint, like even people who've received diagnosis and things like that, there are things that we could do to try to, look at the positives because there are some positives. There's always the silver lining, and somehow you seem to find it, even though medical illness is not mental illness, or but still it's about our health and our wellness. And a lot of times, people who end up having medical illness do end up also having some mental health issues or illness. It can be really difficult to not be able to be the person that you knew, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so in those moments where you are the lowest, um is it just the fact that you see people, who are doing far worse, that helps you to shift your perspective? Is it really just the songs that you listen, to uplift you, or a message? What really, number one, makes you continue to keep going? And number two, what would you say to someone who's listening to this podcast who is like, I can relate, I'm dealing with some of the same things. How can I, what would you say to them to encourage them to keep going?
So no, it's definitely not just in the running across people that you see, or maybe in worse situations. I mean, it's that's part of it, but it's your relationship with Christ, having faith in God, knowing that whether it did you go home in your glorified body or you're here, God is always capable. There's no situation that he can't fix. So he is capable of healing us. He's capable of bringing us through. He's capable of making a way. And that's, where our faith comes into action. So when I find myself in those situations, I pray, well, first, God, your will be done. But whatever your will is, you give me the strength to accept what your will is and not try to supersede and put my will on top of his.
Right.
um and also it helps to have a village, and I thank
Mm.
God for mine that when I'm going through stuff, you know all about my tree, my phone tree, and
Right.
you know call people, and it's like everyone calls somebody else, and people start praying. And there are times that you do feel lonely, you do get angry. I've
Mhm.
said, okay, God, I mean, surely there's somebody else that can carry this mantle. Why me? And then
Right.
you think, why not me? But I think there's a combination there. There's the perspective, there's your faith, um, and then there's your friends and your family that plays a role in it too, because
Right.
sometimes it's just good, even if you can't hug somebody, just to know somebody's thinking about you. Somebody's like, oh, I'm praying for you, or how can I pray for you? um, just small acts of kindness.
Mhm.
So I remember specifically, like, this past summer through the fall, I had no idea when I went to the hospital. My doctor said that my labs came out a little skewed. They were a little off. And he said he wanted to make sure that they were correct. So he told me to go to my local hospital. And I
Right.
did, for them to rerun the blood work. Because, matter of fact, we were talking about that. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking, they're like, okay, yeah, you're fine. And what, 3 months later, I was still in the hospital.
Right. So
So.
let me just tell them this real quick, Carletta. It was almost like, so everything that she's talking about, maybe like in the beginning point, we weren't as close. So I would still call, I would check on her, that's tight. But like this was before karaoke, right? So after karaoke, when we started to hang out together, like I remember getting the call about, the donor. you know
Mhm.
I remember getting the call even this last time that she's talking about, when she went to the hospital and she was just like, thinking it's going to be in and out. The things that happened though, we so it was like we would have conversations about, okay, next time if you're going to the hospital, I know you don't want to stay, but make sure you have this, work on that, make sure whatever it is that she needed, just because it was happening so often that she didn't know what the outcome would be, y'all. Lisa Gilliam, one senior lady, does not like hospitals at all. And I've had the conversation. That's my girl. But I was like, I'm not going. I'll call
Yep.
you. I'll pray for you. Even if got money, I'll deliver whatever I need to do. Plus, COVID, was prohibiting a lot of people from visiting
Right.
at times. Um, but I think that you have to know what your things are. And honestly, for me, it's also my mom's death in the hospital didn't really help my situation. It has nothing to do with Carletta. And we've talked about that too. I
Mhm.
think she still cares, about me, even though I know she probably hasn't been happy about that. But I just want to encourage people that whatever the state is, when you say you're going to be a supportive friend, do what it is that you can do. Like, know your boundaries and know what you can offer, and be honest about it. Um, how does that, or how has that helped or hindered you? Because funny enough, when I was in the hospital, I was young, but I was there. I had asthma attack. And thank God I haven't had to stay in um, for multiple days. In my adulthood, I've only had to be like for a day or maybe overnight or close to overnight, something like that. But
Mhm.
how has that been for you? The times that you felt like, oh my gosh, I'm back in here, especially that 3 month stint. and you had some visitors because it's especially when you transfer to the
Right.
other hospital, to not have the physical support because of things in and out of your control, you know what I mean? And
Right.
also COVID, like I said, didn't help. How was that for you? How did you keep on, you know, with your
Again,
same happy demeanor?
I think for me, it's always trying to focus on the positive. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it was really hard. But once COVID started, because remember when I got my transplant, it was
Mhm.
in the middle of COVID. So this is like the biggest surgery I've ever had in my life, and I was by myself. Like
Right.
they wouldn't let anybody come in at all. And so from the time that my girlfriend dropped me off at the door, it was like, okay, come this way, do this. And I remember thinking like, just the year before, I had a surgery that was, it was, I stayed in the hospital 2 days, but it was minor compared to this. And it was like 5 people in the waiting room with me.
Mhm.
And now we're saying major surgery, organ
Right.
replacements,
Nobody can be
and
there.
nobody
Right.
could be there,
Mhm.
And so I was just, honestly like, well, Lord, it's you and me and you. And I talked to my family, as much as I could, or, um, I know it doesn't take the place of them being there, but
Mhm.
it just helped, knowing that even though they weren't there, that none of you guys, you could feel your prayers, you could feel the support, you could feel the love, and it
Mhm.
helped. It
I
really
video
does.
chatted her in the hospital, y'all. We were talking.
So,
I didn't care. Like it didn't matter what she looked like. Sometimes you just gotta see people's face. My mom used to say, "I gotta put my eyes on you," and so I don't
right,
know how much you like that, Carletta, but it did make me feel better that you were, what I'm saying, that I could at least see your face.
right. And you did. I mean, that's like for my birthday last year, we
Right.
did a Zoom party because I was in the
Mhm.
hospital
Right.
and, nobody could come. So it was like, okay, well, then Zoom party it is. And that's what we did. So you just figure out, I think that in this new era where we are, you just figure out how to do things a little differently. And
Absolutely.
that's what you do. So I was excited that I was able to see a lot of my family members and, that they even took time. I mean, like they're driving home from work and, whatever. And they jumped in just to say happy birthday. And it just meant the world to me.
Mhm. That's
So
sweet.
again, I think it really is just your mindset. Because I feel like in those instances, that's what the devil is really trying to attack. Because
Absolutely.
he's like, oh, nobody cares about you. You're by yourself, and it's not true. It's really not true. And if we're not careful, you can get so caught up
Right.
in those things that it takes over your world. And once that's a really dark place. So when you were mentioning the things about mental health,
Mhm.
sometimes they can, go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Because Lord knows that I was just like, can I see outside? But then, you find ways to kind of deal with it. Because I remember I was joking with my sister, and I was like, for the first time I think the first time ever in the summertime, you're lighter than me. And she's like, I know. I said, yeah, because I haven't seen the sun.
Oh,
So,
wow.
we kind of joked about it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to need tan in a can or something. But it was,
Wow.
to keep it lighthearted and, not let those things, just weigh you down or cause you to be depressed, So I don't think there's any step one, two, three, and four. It's whatever works for the person. But the one
Mhm.
thing I know that always works is not focusing on the bad, to try to focus on the good. Don't focus on what you can't do, focus on what you can. Don't focus on what you don't have, focus on what you got.
Well, you do that. You definitely she does, y'all. She really does do that. outside of the health challenges and things she has, she's also a great supporter. She if you may have met her if you've been to some of my events, well, before COVID, because
Yeah.
I've shut things down. I haven't accepted any engagements pretty much in a year, other than virtual ones. But y'all can call me for those virtual interviews,
Yeah,
virtual
call. She
things,
will
speaking
bless your
and
soul.
singing. Thanks, Carletta. But she would also help me on location. Speaking of which, we been asked to come back to I can't even think of the school, Enunciation, to the
Oh yeah.
invitation. So so we'll see what happens with that. But she actually has been on location. She's um supported stigma breakers, the sweatshirts and all of that stuff. The one singing lady shirts, and so it's always good to have friends in your corner who don't just say I wish you will, but actually support you. And I'm not necessarily always talking about financially, but that is one of the people. And I'm not just talking about me. Like, she will organize stuff for people. She bakes and cooks for people. I'm just trying to think of all of the things that she does. Like, sometimes I'm just like, do you like wait, are you keeping still, you know what I mean? Because she's always busy doing something for somebody at some time, and herself too. So she's definitely a good person to have in your corner. I can't wait till COVID's over so we can do some of the stuff that we've done. I don't
Yes.
think we have I don't think have I seen you at all. No, it's been at least a
Um,
year, right?
no, but when was the last? Was Silver Diner? I think that was like our
Oh,
first
yeah,
and
that was
last.
like that's right. So that was last year. That was
July.
like something. Yep. So yep, we did go there. She treated me because I think because you were in the hospital for my birthday. Those were your
Yep.
words, right? So she was like, "When I get out, I'm gonna take you." I was like, "You don't have to do anything," but she still did, y'all. I told y'all
Yep.
that's that's who she is. And I think even when it was her birthday, I sent her a gift card, but it had to sit there for how many months? Because again, you
It
were at
said
the
for,
hospital at
but
that
girl, when I used it though, whew,
time.
it was on time.
She loves Cracker Barrel, y'all. We just,
Yes, I
we put it
do.
out there. So do I. So
So
do I.
any
So
of
Cracker
y'all, if
Barrel,
y'all
y'all can
remember
give
me
us
in
some.
October, Cracker Barrel, you can't go wrong.
Cracker Barrel can give us a shout out. Go ahead and hook up with girls, one
Right.
of the supporters. Um, is there anything we are about to finish? I appreciate you sharing your story. I think that somebody who might be going through health issues, especially during this time. I mean, it
Hmm.
might not be the same thing, but just a lot of people have been, I guess, having to face, just the thoughts of sometimes fear or
Right.
anxiety or um, all the things that kind of go through your head, even though God's got you, especially for those believers, excuse me, such as us. However, if you're just like, okay, any surgery is a serious surgery. I mean, I had foot surgery and I woke up in the middle of it and it messed me up. I was like, I'm not supposed to be awake, but I couldn't speak. So I was under anesthesia, and so they were like, even, that surgery is a serious surgery. And so I can't even imagine having to go through all the things that you experienced. But I know that you've been a blessing to me, and hearing your story and seeing you persevere in spite of it
Oh,
has been a
thank you.
blessing. And I'm sure that anybody who listens to this will be able to say the same. I hope that y'all will leave comments as we post, the story when it airs. But is there anything that you want to say in closing to just anybody? Even shout out, you mentioned your girlfriend, you know, she is an awesome best friend. I have met her, and she's, she contacts me. I'm a part of the tree, so I appreciate that. So, if anybody that you want to shout out, your sister, like anybody, your mom, whoever, is
Oh
anybody you
gosh,
want
no.
to shout
I
out
think
before we
there's just too many to name names, and I'm liable to miss them. So, just to my family, my friends, my village, I love you guys so much. You all are the bestesses. Um, always there for me, never let me down, and you guys have my heart. Um, now to the people listening to this podcast, only thing I can tell you is don't give up on God.
Mm.
That's the best thing I could tell you to do. Don't give up on God, because He truly is amazing, even when you're at your lowest moment. You just you have no idea how God is still working on your behalf. So don't give up on them.
Very true. If somebody wanted to reach you, did you want to leave your any of your social media handles? It's up
Ooh,
to you.
um,
She's
girl,
not used to that
look now.
part,
You
y'all.
know me with social media. What?
Okay, how about this? If y'all want to get in touch with her, you can contact me.
Yeah,
One singing
cause
lady.
I can't tell you what the social hand. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna have to prep for the next time, y'all. So, because this could open up other opportunities. On I may end up turning the podcast back to YouTube. Well, YouTube, you can find me at One Singing Lady. That's also my music channel. That's spelled out ONESINGLADY. So it's spelled out completely on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You can find me at One Singing Lady, and that's the number one, and then Singing Lady, or numeral one and Singing Lady. Please leave a message. Let us know how this bless you. And also visit my website, www.lisalgilliam.com. And that's Gilliam. That's how you spell the last name. So that you can find out more about what I'm doing to just, continue to advocate for mental health and mental wellness. And check out the stigma breakers too. We have some awesome gear. We want you to be a stigma breaker too. We're trying to break the stigma of mental health awareness. And that's the reason for this podcast. There's always a lot of people want to say it's a separation between physical and mental health, and it's not. The things that we go through in life, honestly, but the grace of God, that's what continues to keep people to hold on. And I've been very honest and open about the struggles that I've had with mental health as well. And you think you're good until something happens, so it can happen to anybody. So we want people to realize that and break the stigma. Thank you so much, Carletta, for sharing with us.
Oh, sure.
We appreciate it. And everybody else, we will see you at the next show. Well, not physically see you, but hopefully listen. You'll listen to the next show and then you'll comment on it. So thank you all. One singing lady. Oh.
All
Please note any comments made on this LLG Random But Real podcast by myself, Lisa One Singing Lady Gilliam, or my guests are our own views. They are not to be made or determine an actual professional or in lieu of an actual professional. If you relate to any of the topics, please seek professional help. Contact a therapist, a psychologist, any other mental health professional, or if it's an emergency, please call 911. Thank you so much for tuning in.